What's up, Braden? Hello. Hope you're enjoying your little pre-draft golf. We love to hear that. We love to hear some pre-draft golf going on. Shoot low today, as I always tell you to do while we are playing this game. We are live at the draft house. You see the boss here. She will say hello at some point.
Got some hot, spicy
No, we're not. We're not talking about the hot, spicy info that we got. We can't do that. Hello to you, Tuttle. Hello to everybody here in the chat. A little pre-draft hype show here. We'll get everybody excited. My predictive mock is out on the website, I believe, now at this point, so we can discuss that as well if you guys have any thoughts about that. But we're just going to hang out and have a good time here. What's up, RC? You know what, RC? I agree with that message 100%. Good luck to everybody's teams tonight. Hope everybody gets the players that they want. I hope that is the case. So we are looking forward to a very fun evening. We are getting everything ready to go here at the Content House. I'm staring at the set in which you will be seeing all the content from later on the TDN social account. I am sitting in the location where I will be doing the premium watch-along later. And for those of you who maybe don't know about that, TDN Premium Discord, I'll be dropping a link in here. It'll probably be to a YouTube stream just like this, but it'll just be a private link. And you'll be able to hang out, chat, and you'll get live reactions as things happen. So looking forward for that here a little bit later on tonight. We'll probably go live a little bit early. Trevor says the Pats trading Mac Jones and picks the Texans for number 2 draft Anthony Richardson. Let the chaos begin. We'll get into all of that, Trevor. We'll get into all of that. And then your guys' thoughts. Again, my predictive mock, if you haven't seen it, should be out on the website. I posted the link last night. And so if you guys want to talk about anything in that painstaking process, I will tell you, spent a lot of time going through that, making some changes. I think I had about 8 or 9 different versions by the time everything was all said and done, and finally settled on what I guess is my final version. I submitted it to the Huddle Report late last night, so that is what we were going to do. Thank you, Braden, for the great Chiefs pick in my mock. Thank you. I didn't get there. It took me until the last version. I never did a scenario in which that was the pick for the Chiefs, because I could never get him there, and then I had to work another player and that I hadn't gotten in a while, and then that kind of opened the door for me to explore the Chiefs moving up from 31 up to 20. So it just kind of worked out in the last version that way, but that was not supposed to be the plan. I did not have a version with that. I did have him going wide receiver a couple of different times, but it always ended up being Jordan Addison over Zay Flowers, but I finally got there. So looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun tonight to see how wrong I am by the time everything is said and done. So we'll get started here in just a little bit. I know it's a little bit of a different time than we normally do this, so I want to give everybody some opportunities to hop in here. We can do a little bit of a pre-show conversation. And then get into what is the show and what is just a preview of the draft tonight, what I expect, where I think we need to be paying attention. And Sportsnut, you kind of have it pegged right where I think we need to be paying attention tonight in a lot of different ways. So we shall see. So actually transition to the full screen so you guys can see me here and see the backdrop. As you can see, this will be my setup. Behind me, back over there, is where the content that you will be seeing on the TDN social channel, so Instagram, Twitter, which will be where the instant analysis sits. So our scouts, the members of the team, will be reacting to picks, and those videos will get posted out on social media for you to be able to get that instant analysis, and then you'll get the live kind of reactions here. I see the TV set up down the end of the hallway here, which will have the draft on it, which is where I will see the picks, and then we can react to them as a group. And who knows, different team members will probably pop in here and share their thoughts here as the evening goes on. Braden, I cannot tell you how awesome it is that you are joining the chat and you are talking to me while you're playing golf, and that you just chipped in for a birdie. How far out were we? What kind of chip were we talking? Do we have soft hands and we chipped it and let it roll, or do we have some backspin on it? What do we have here? I wouldn't even be surprised if Carolina moved back into the bottom of the first tonight. Fitterer mentioned if a guy falls, they like. Yeah, we'll get into all of that here because it's much easier for me to kind of wade through how I feel this is going to go after doing my final predictive mock because I did something that I had told you guys that I never thought was going to happen. I ended up getting 4 receivers in there in the first round. So I had a lot of things that ultimately fell out. There were a couple of players that I really felt like I needed to get in there. In Mozzie Smith and Kalijah Kancey, I got both of those guys in there. I mean, I had a version of mine at one point that had Matthew Bergeron in it. So, I mean, I was doing everything. I was thinking about every possible scenario before everything was all said and done, and I finally hit submit. And by just so everybody knows, the moment I hit submit, I didn't like it. So that's how it all played out. So appreciate everybody being here. You guys know the drill. If you guys throw your comments and questions while we're doing this, that will be that will keep the show moving, and those will be the topics of conversations as this show goes along. So I'll press the record button so we can start the podcast version of the show. And Sam, I'm going to start with exactly what you said there because it took me a lot longer, and I will walk everybody through the process. And my full analysis, Jamie and I are going to be doing a full, probably hour-plus long breakdown when I'm done with this. That'll go on prospects and props, where Jamie grills me about the picks that I made. So you got that from us on Monday for his. You'll get it for me today on mine. So here we go. Let's get started. And welcome into the Thursday edition of the TDN Daily podcast. And folks, we have made it. We have made it to draft day. Just a few short hours from now, the start of the 2023 NFL draft. And we are having a little bit of a pre-hype show here on YouTube, here in the podcast feed as we get you ready for the festivities tonight. It feels like I'm waking up on Christmas morning. All the gifts are underneath the tree, and I don't know what's in any of them. None of us know what is in any of the gifts tonight here for the 2023 NFL draft. So it should be a lot of fun. I have finally put it together. The predictive mock, I sent it in last night. It is up on the site. It is done. It is submitted to the Huddle Report contest. There is no turning back. So we're going to talk about that today, my process, what I expect to happen tonight, things I'll be keeping an eye on, and whatever else you guys might have here throughout the course of the show. And I want to start with something that Sam mentioned in the chat, and he said that it took him 3 hours to make 31 picks, and he hated every minute of it. I don't want to explain to everybody the amount of painstaking detail I went through in order to get this mock done. It took a while. I'll just share the Cliff Notes version. I had a pretty early flight leaving out of Phoenix to get here to Kansas City, so went to the airport a little bit earlier to kind of avoid not being able to get a ride in the morning. So I was there kind of overnight into my early flight at like 3, 4 in the morning. And so I spent the wee hours of the morning in a very, very empty Sky Harbor International Airport. I found a dark corner of the airport. Nobody was around me, and I just had my phone. I had some music in my ears, and I said, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to give this one full run through. I'm just going to go 1 to 31, gut reaction. I'll think about it a little bit, and I'll put it together. And then from there, that was the base that I had for the entire day. I will tell you, not a lot of that ended up sticking. I moved a couple of things as the course of the day went on, and the most important thing for me was figuring out what I wanted to do with the quarterbacks. That ultimately was kind of the linchpin to figuring out how the rest of the board was going to fall. And so for those of you who may not know, the way the Huddle Report works is you can predict trades and you can have teams move around, but it doesn't get you any points if you get that part of it right? So if I wanted to have a team trade up, I did so with the mindset of it allowed me to make the board fall in a way that I thought made sense, but also kind of hedge against the idea of maybe they trade up further or maybe they can stay in their spot and still get the guy. So a lot of things kind of played into that. But ultimately, where I ended up is with Bryce going number 1. I had Will Levis going number 4 to the Colts, and then that obviously caused a ripple effect. I got Minnesota trading up to 12 to be able to get Anthony Richardson. I do not think they're going to be able to move up inside the top 5 tonight. And so that was kind of a hard thing for me. I believe a lot of the noise of the Vikings trying to move up and the Vikings trying to angle to get a quarterback, but I just didn't think they could get up to 2 or 3. So I thought, well, what if we could get them up to 12? What quarterback could I see falling there that could make some sense? I ultimately ended up allowing it to be Anthony Richardson, which kind of fits in with the idea of giving Kirk Cousins one more run. So I kind of liked it from that perspective. And then I had the quarterback that fell being C.J. Stroud. And then I had a team that we had not discussed at all, even considering a quarterback, but needs a quarterback, sensing on the opportunity in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and moving up to get C.J. Stroud. So once I did that, a lot of other things naturally fell into place. I've been big on the Tyree Wilson to Houston at 2. That's kind of been where the tides have been kind of moving at this juncture this late in the process. So that's how I felt on that. I don't think Arizona is going to be able to move. I think the ship has sailed on that. I think it's going to be really tough. And them moving causes a lot of problems. Trying to orchestrate a scenario where they move around just it makes it hard to fit certain players. And so I wanted to do one without that. And ultimately, I feel like it's going to be harder for them to trade because if they don't have a trade done before the draft starts, I think it's going to be really hard for a team to come up a bunch of spots on draft night to get a quarterback that high inside the top 5. I just think it's going to be impossible. So I ended up staying there and I went Will Anderson. I'm not buying this Parrish Johnson stuff. And then, that kind of flew out. I was able to fill out the board. Jalen Carter at 5 is a big one for me. But I see some comments in the chat. Sam says, you and I agree on a lot of picks, Chris, which makes me feel like we're both about to be horribly wrong. I mean, I will tell you, Sam, that was kind of my reaction when you tweeted at me last night, the idea that we have like 9 of the first 11 picks being the same. And there was some in there that I thought I was going a little bit outside. I know there have been some people talking about it, but I thought Nolan Smith at 10 would be something that would kind of set me apart. I thought Mozzie Smith at 26 to Dallas would be something that set me apart. I know you've got that as well. Yeah, I mean, I considered probably by the end of the day for the 31 spots, I probably considered 45 to 50 players and had different variations where guys fell in. And I will tell you, I got done with it a couple of times and I went, darn, these 2 or 3 players are not in there. And I had to go back to the drawing board and start over. Like, I had to completely do it again because I'm like, I need this player in here. So it's a great thought exercise. It makes me feel incredibly prepared for whatever chaos could ultimately come tonight. And I will probably say multiple times during the live stream tonight, hey, I thought about this. I had this written down at one point, and it'll be fun to kind of see how it all plays out. Sportsnut, thoughts about DJ and Josh Norris hearing the Texans could try to move up to 3 for Stroud. Again, you when you look at this late in the process, right? How much have we heard about the idea of them doing this before this week? How much of that noise have we really heard? And the answer is very minimal, if any at all. And so I do not put a lot of weight into what we are hearing this late in the process because, again, they would have to move up from 12 to 3. And on draft night, when they're picking at 2, maybe they spend that time talking to the Cardinals to try to also move up to 3 and then go from there. But it's very hard, very, very difficult to pull off a trade inside the top 10 on draft night when everything's happening. So if it gets done beforehand, maybe. And again, it can get done beforehand because they can talk right now and get to 3, and then they'll know what they want to do, and then that will change everything. And then I think quarterback's completely back on the menu if they trade up to 3. But I don't buy it right now. I am not going to sit here and say that I believe that that's what the Texans are going to do. I think the Texans are going to pass on a quarterback at 2 and take a pass rusher, and then I have them trading out of 12 and then getting a receiver later on. But it's also a receiver that they could end up getting at 12, so I feel pretty good about that. Trevor says the Vikings trade up in round 1 with only 5 picks in the draft right now. Well, you know, Trevor, there's future picks that they could include in that deal, and future ones or potentially future picks could set them up for success. And so I just felt that made the most sense considering the noise that we've heard right now about them potentially moving up. And to your point about only having 5 picks in the draft, that's what made it very, very difficult for me to potentially have them move up to 3 because the amount of draft capital that would require would just be enormous. Moving up 10 spots, we see that pretty commonplace. That is not a thing that we don't see on a regular basis. So I kind of didn't necessarily think that it was that far-fetched to see that happening. I see some people in the chat talking about Tyreek Hill saying, I got inside info and a winky face. I mean, I would, and then somebody talking about in the chat, does that mean Dalvin Cook? I mean, potentially. I'm just going to check Twitter real quick because I don't have it open while I'm doing this to make sure that there isn't any breaking news here while this has gone on. Doesn't really look like that is the case. So, but that is one of those guys that you want to file away on draft night trades. Dalvin Cook, somebody that we could probably be talking about. DeAndre Hopkins is somebody that we could probably be talking about as guys that could get traded. Maybe not necessarily tonight. There's no real impetus because I don't know if any of those guys are going to fetch a first-round pick. But, you know, deadline spur action and teams may want to get that deals done. Braden with inside information says 31 picks will be made. That's it's a bold take if you, Braden, to say all 31 picks ultimately get made. Sportsnet, how far does Levis fall if he gets past Indy? Well, I will tell you, I still think the floor for him is wherever Minnesota would like to go up and get him, right? And so I don't think he falls outside of the top 15. I think 4's in play. I think you could entertain the idea of Minnesota trading up to 10 to the Eagles, trading up to 12 with the Texans. Lots of different options. So I still think he'll go inside the top 15 when everything is said and done. So I don't think he'll fall that far if he gets past Indy. Because, again, I had versions of my final predictive mock that had the Colts taking Richardson at 4 and then the Vikings just getting Will Levis at 12. And so for the sake of this, I just flipped them because I just, at the end of the day, thought that the Colts and Will Levis made a little bit more sense than Anthony Richardson did. So I just flipped those two. So it's always been 4 and 12 for me for those two guys just in some kind of order. What's the ceiling for Hendon Hooker tonight? The ceiling for Hendon Hooker tonight. Okay, let me pull up the Tankathon list of the teams just to make sure I don't speak out of turn here. 19 to Tampa might be the ceiling. 20 to Seattle. Let me think. We 25 to the Giants or another team. I'm just naming teams that we think could do this. And that's really it, right? Maybe Minnesota at 23. Tampa at 19 is probably the ceiling. I don't think any team higher than that will consider it. I don't think Detroit will at 18. I don't think Washington will at 16. And then, you know, after that, you're inside the top 14, and I don't think there's a team that will consider Hendon Hooker that high. So 19, maybe the ceiling if I'm being super optimistic. The realistic ceiling, probably 23 or 25, Minnesota or the Giants, if we're talking first round. I didn't get them there. I did not have him. I will tell you, there was not a single version of my predictive mock in all the versions that I did where I could find a spot for Hendon Hooker. I wanted to have a team trade back in, but I just couldn't get there. There were so many other players that I thought needed to get into the first round and fit them in, and didn't necessarily find a spot for him. But I don't think it's possible. Trevor says Bijan to the Bears at number 9. Reddit is never wrong. Can we talk about this real quick as a group here at the chat? I love Reddit. I'm a frequenter of Reddit on all the various subreddits, right? Love it. It's one of my favorite, social media, quote unquote, platforms out there, right? I love it for the content aggregation, the some of the comments and content that you get from there. It's a good time, right? But you can't tell me that somebody on Reddit knows that Bijan's going to the Bears at 9, because the Bears don't know if Bijan's going to be available at 9. So I don't know how you can say with any level of certainty that the Bears are going to pick Bijan at 9. You don't know if he's going to be there. Like, it's one thing for somebody to go on our sportsbook and say, Will Levis, the pick at number 1, he's telling his friends and family, lock it in, right? It's the number 1 pick. There's nothing standing in the Carolina Panthers' way of doing that other than their own volition. For number 9, there are 8 teams they're going to pick. And there are 3 teams inside that mix that we think are potential landing spots for Bijan. Atlanta, potentially Vegas, even Detroit at 6. So you've got 3 teams, 6, 7, and 8, that could all realistically turn in the card and it says Bijan Robinson's name on it. So anybody claiming with any level of certainty that they know somebody inside the organization that knows that the pick is Bijan, they don't know that inside the organization. So just very weird to me that's what we're kind of claiming to this late in the process. Braden says, does QJ go tonight? Seems like more buzz lately on Addison outside of JSN and Zay. I got there, Braden. I got to 4 receivers in the first round. I had JSN to the Packers. I had QJ to the Texans. I had Jordan Addison to the Ravens, and I had Zay Flowers to the Chiefs. Those were the 4 fits that I was able to get to for wide receivers. I just kept coming back to the idea that those teams need wide receiver help, and those are the 4 names. If you had to tell me right now, Chris, there are going to be 4 wide receivers that go in the first round tonight, which 4 would you pick? These would be the 4. There's not any other name that I would even consider. I wouldn't consider a Josh Downs. I wouldn't consider a Jalen Hyatt. I wouldn't consider a Cedric Tillman. Eugene, you missed nothing. We're just hanging out, having a good time, recording TDN Daily, having a little pre-show hype, pre-draft hype, I should say, but we're doing the live show. You haven't missed anything. So if there's anything that you want to discuss here about the draft ahead of tonight's festivities, please go ahead and throw it in the chat. But we're just hanging out, having a good time, not a super, formal version of this show that we normally do. We're just hanging out and bantering here live from the Content House in Kansas City as we are just hours away. I'm very, very excited. I woke up this morning and you could feel the buzz in the air here in Kansas City for what's about to happen in just a few short hours. So, but anything else that you guys want to talk about when it comes to my predictive mock, what you guys think is going to happen tonight? I mean, truly, this draft starts at number 2, right? If we are to believe that Bryce Young will be the pick at number 1 to the Carolina Panthers, Houston is the team that could be the curveball here, because there have been 2 camps of they're not going to take a quarterback or they're going to take a pass rusher, right? Those are the 2 camps that you find yourself in. Well, if you open up the door for them to take a quarterback that's not named Bryce Young, all bets are off. Everything that I put in my mock is going to be completely wrong, right? I'm not going to get a single team and player match tonight, probably. I'm not going to get many of them. So if they go quarterback, it's going to cause a lot of chaos and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that if they go edge, then we start to see, okay, let's answer this quarterback question. What does Indy do? Does a team try to trade into 3? Does Minnesota still pick up the phone and try to get up there? Now we can start to explore those kinds of thought experiments that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. Braden says, have you had barbecue yet? Sorry if I missed that one. We have not had barbecue yet. This is only technically day 1.5 here. So no barbecue yet, but I do promise you, Braden, before those wheels take off on Monday morning for me to head back to Phoenix, I will have some Kansas City barbecue for you and give you a full review here on one of the shows. Eugene, what's the one guy that you wanted to put in your predictive mock that didn't make the cut? I will tell you, there is a specific player team fit that I loved. 2 of them, actually. One of which was a player that I was able to keep in there. The other, I had to move it out. I loved mocking Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions. I talked about it in the predictive show that Jamie and I did on Monday. It constantly got in the way of me fitting in other players, so I had to get off of that. That is a predictive player team fit that I just love in this draft. Don't know if it's necessarily going to happen, but I loved it, but I had to move off of it. The player that didn't make the cut, that I found a spot, and I got really excited about, was the idea of the Cincinnati Bengals, and this maybe potentially answers Trevor's question about withstanding your mock, call the consensus day 2, day 3 talent that will inevitably get picked in the first round. I loved the idea of giving the Cincinnati Bengals Matthew Bergeron. a guy that swing tackle, played right tackle to start his college career, then played left tackle. They're going to need a right tackle with Jonah Williams demanding a trade, wanting out of there. So there was a really interesting fit to get a name that's kind of outside the consensus in the mix there. And the moment I put it down, I went, wow, I really like this. I like that it's different. I like that it makes sense. I like that it's one of the names that we're kind of talking about that could be a late riser in this process and maybe surprise everybody with being a first round. But ultimately, I took it out by the time everything was done because I didn't necessarily like some of the players that I left off the board. So there are so many different scenarios that you play out. There are so many different versions of this that you do, and there are versions of where I like a pocket of 5 picks, but it doesn't work with other sections, and so you have to kind of piece all that together into something that you like. Tuttle says, I think Baltimore trades back for picks and trades for D-Hop before the draft is over. Certainly a very likely scenario for Baltimore to end up with D-Hop. Don't know if they necessarily trade back. They might stick and pick another wide receiver. They certainly need wide receiver help. Donovan says, what do you have the Steelers doing at 17? Now, this is going to make everybody laugh. I don't remember. I had so many different versions of this. I believe, and I'm going to pull it up on the site, I'm pretty sure that it's Deonte Banks, the corner out of Maryland, is where I ended up with the Steelers. Because I had Joey Porter Jr. at one point, and I had that a lot. So I'm going to pull it up here because I have my mock here on screen. I'll scroll down to make sure that I'm telling the truth here. Yeah, Deonte Banks, corner from Maryland, is what I have at 17 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Eugene says, thoughts on more running backs getting drafted than wide receivers? I can't see that. If you're talking specifically in the first round, I think you're getting at least 3 wide receivers in the first round, and I do not believe we are on the planet, or we are in the timeline where 3 running backs go in the first round, because there's a consensus top 2. There's not a consensus on who the third guy is going to be. I think you're going to ask some people, and they're going to say it's Tajay Spears, but they're worried about the medicals. There are going to be some people who say it's Zach Charbonnet because he's a more well-rounded player. You are going to get probably 5 or 6 different answers to who the RB3 is in this class. And so because of that, I can't see us getting there to where a third running back goes in the first round. So if Eugene, your question was about first round, more running backs than wide receivers, I can't get there. Not a thought that even crossed my mind at any point when it came to the first round of the draft. So no, I think bare minimum they'll tie. I think, 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs will go, and that's if you believe the 2 running backs will go. I do, and I put my money where my mouth is with that, with the over 1.5 before I, got here to Kansas City. Trevor says, outside of the top 10, what is the chalkiest pick that will in fact happen? Let me look at my mock and see what I always did in the mock draft. Sportsnut, does Atlanta pass on Bijan if he's there? I certainly didn't have them doing it. Al, that's very funny that you said that you've never seen me without a baseball cap. It's because I haven't had a haircut in a while. So now that I've got the haircut for the work trip here, I don't have a hat on. And there's not one nearby that I can maybe put on for you to so that maybe it looks a little bit more normal. So no baseball cap here today. Maybe I'll rock one here tonight for the live show. Let me look here, Trevor, to see if there's anybody that I think was like a chalk pick that I always had every time I did this. Oh boy, let me scroll through here. There's really not. There really isn't one that constantly made sense. I mean, I constantly had Brian Branch to the Giants, but I don't think that's a chalk pick whatsoever. John Michael Schmitz, I always had going to Seattle in one way or another, but again, I don't think that's chalk. I don't really think there's a lot of chalk outside the top 10, unless you believe that Jackson Smith-Njigba to the Packers like I do. Yeah, I mean, Al, I don't have wide receiver to the Giants, so that's not, that could be what you're talking about when it comes to a chalky pick. But Tyree Wilson is plus money right now to go at 2. Is he still the favorite, or has somebody else moved into that spot? Is somebody else the favorite to be number 2? I know Will Levis's odds have kind of been moving around this week, as mentioned on a numerous number of shows, both here and prospects and props. So wouldn't be surprised to see the money move around. Broderick Jones not making it to the Jets. Trevor, au contraire, my friend. Au contraire. I still have the Jets snagging Broderick Jones just at 19 instead of at 15. I had them doing a swap with Tampa so Tampa could get C.J. Stroud, and I have them getting to Broderick at 19, which is kind of a hedge because if they just stay at 15 and pick him, I can still get the player match. I just came from PFF Live, and they didn't have they didn't take an O tackle. Jags have a poor right tackle, and their starting left tackle got suspended. Yeah, I mean, we don't know enough about that situation yet with Cam Robinson. I don't know. I don't know necessarily, Al, if we can take, full value. I mean, again, I took the suspension of Jameson Williams and tried to extrapolate that into Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions in the first round, and it messed too many things up when I thought about it that way. So I would kind of hedge against that. Donovan says, I'm scared of that pick. What if he's the next Artie Burns? Sportsnut says, how many tight ends go in round 1? I have 1. I think at most 2, but I have 1. And I don't love it because one of the players that I constantly kept having out of my mock drafts was Dalton Kincaid, and it didn't make me feel very good to constantly have him out of there. Braden says, scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in the Jets' results making you happy tonight? I would say 8.5. I'll leave the room for them to disappoint me. But Braden, I don't have many expectations. I want them to get an offensive tackle, but I'm also incredibly realistic that none of the tackles might be on the board when they pick at 15. And so when that happens, the world's their oyster. They could pick any player, and I would like it because I don't have another positional need that matches up with the way the board more than likely is going to play out in the first round. They need a safety. I don't think they're taking Brian Branch at 15. They need a linebacker. I don't think they're taking a linebacker at 15 or in the first round. So when the things that I think are real strong needs don't match up from a player positional value perspective in this draft class, then I think they could do whatever, and I'm going to be like, great, they got a great player, right? As long as I like the player, and that's what I'll leave the 1.5 up for them to pick a player that I don't necessarily like, right? Everybody knows my thoughts on Peter Skoronski, that I don't know necessarily where he would fit in this offensive line for the New York Jets. So I'll leave the 1.5 open for interpretation on the exact player they pick, but more than likely the process and what leads them to making the decision, I'm going to like pretty much. Al says they will protect Rodgers. I agree, Al, but that doesn't mean that the offensive lineman that they want is going to be there at 15. They introduced another variable by adding the New England Patriots, who could very, very easily take an offensive lineman in the first round. Predictably, I have them going Christian Gonzalez, but if it's not corner, it's going to be offensive lineman. So you added another element by doing the pick swap with Green Bay of this is a team that could get in our way. This is a team that could ultimately take the player that we want. Trevor says, call the first round snipe job. Which team is trading ahead of what other team for which player? I'll give it to you. It's the Chiefs hopping the Ravens for Zay Flowers. And in order to do that, there's a stretch of teams where it's all AFC teams that are not going to be willy-nilly. Here you go, Patrick Mahomes. Let's just invite you and your team all the way up to get Zay Flowers. No, we're not going to let that happen. So they've got to go all the way up to 20 to do it. And they talked to an NFC team in Seattle. So, and that kind of ties into Eugene's question. Did you have any trades in your mock? Eugene, did I have any trades in my mock? Tell me you didn't see the mock without telling me you didn't see the mock. I mean, I've got Tampa trading up 4 spots to get CJ Stroud. I have Minnesota trading up to get Anthony Richardson. I've got trades all over the place, dude. I mean, we've got trades everywhere, not even to include the trades that have already happened in the lead up to the draft. So we got teams picking all over the place here in the first round. But yes, I had a couple of big ones. The CJ Stroud swap with Tampa and New York to be able to have them go at 15, and then the Minnesota-Houston swap to allow Minnesota to take Anthony Richardson would be the 2 that I would really kind of point out. And then the third being Seattle and Kansas City swapping. Seattle dropping back 30 spots to get John Michael Schmitz, or 10 spots to 31 to get John Michael Schmitz, and Kansas City coming up to get Zay Flowers. So yeah, I mean, I will tell you, Eugene, every single member of TDN's staff's predictive mocks, final predictive mocks are on the website under the mock draft tab. So if you go to the mock draft tab, you will see everybody's final predictive mocks. So mine, Jamie's, all the member of the scouting team, all the member of the content team, they are all there on the website for you to see. So that is going to do it for us here on the podcast edition of the show. We will continue the post-show YouTube edition here so we can banter for a little bit longer before I've got some other stuff that I need to take care of. So, and we're going to do a little bit of a run in here at the end of the podcast from our good friend Jamie Eisner. He's not going to say anything, even though I'm saying goodbye to the podcast audience. So that's only for you watching on the YouTube channel. Again, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day of the week. We do things over on the YouTube channel. If you're a member of TDN Premium and you're listening to this tonight, live stream on YouTube, you will get a private link to the stream where I will be doing a live watch along to the NFL draft tonight. So you're going to want to be a part of that a little bit later on. So appreciate everybody listening to the podcast feed, rating, reviewing, subscribing to the show. YouTube listeners, don't go anywhere. We're going to continue with the post show here in just a second. But everybody, enjoy the draft. We will be back with a full reaction show tomorrow and a preview of rounds 2 and 3. So we look forward to it. Everybody, have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the draft. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, so we are now in the post show. Hello, everybody in the YouTube chat. Al Bundy says Skoronski is either going to go to New England or all the way back to 27 or 30. New England is so weird, so I don't know if the normal rules ever of length or taking a guard in the first round apply with Bill. Yeah, we'll see, Al. I mean, again, there's a lot of different options, I think, for them at 14. I ended up going corner. Did you go corner too, Jamie? You went Christian Gonzalez as well?
For who?
For New England? Did we get there?
I have no idea what even ended up.
So this is great, and I don't know how well they can hear you with this microphone, but somebody asked me what I gave to the Steelers, and on the show I had to look up the mock because I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I thought it was Deontay Banks, and I'm like, I got to check because I know I had Joey Porter Jr. there at one point, and I had to check, and that's exactly what it was. Braden, where is he? I don't know if he's in the room, but Braden says, I love Jack McKessie throwing Emil Aguilar to the Patriots for New England to reach again. Jack just got here. I don't know where he is. If I can find him and he will come on the show and explain himself. When he shared that with us, he was just like, yeah, I mean, New England England's going to do New England things. They took Cole Strange. I'll do it again. I'll throw the dart at the dartboard, and we'll see what happens. Sportsnut says, wonder if Miami is trading into round one with Tyreek's cryptic tweets. I mean, it's tough to say. Why? If you're the Miami Dolphins, right, Sportsnut, and you are intrigued by the idea of trading into the first round, you are only moving in for a specific player. And I don't know how you know where that specific player is going to be at this point. Right? I just don't know. You don't know what players are available. So you're going to have to let the board play out and then think about moving up. I think Braden has this pegged a little bit better. That it's just Tyreek being Tyreek. Yes, that is what I would more than likely aspire this to. Eugene says, any Built Bar bets for the draft? I don't know. Jamie, do we have anything for the draft? Can you shout at me from over there if we have anything? Jamie, instead of shouting, just great for the audio here, just looked at me and said no, and you couldn't see him say no. But no, so Jamie and I do not have any Built Bar bets for the draft tonight. But yeah, which first-round prospect invited to the draft green room in KC will have the cleanest draft night fit? You know what, Trevor? Asking the important questions here on draft day. Who is going to have the best fit? Paige is throwing in a vote for Bryce Young. Jordan Addison probably will have a pretty good fit. Right? The Cali kids probably. I'll go Jordan Addison with the best fit. I thought you were going to ask me which first-round prospect invited to the draft green room won't get drafted, but no, you asked me the cleanest draft night fit, which is fine. Yes, Jamie, that would be the answer that I would say as well, Keon White. So whatever else you guys have here, I'll be on here for another probably like 5 or 10 minutes or so answering your questions here. But again, tonight we will post a link in the TDN Premium Discord for the YouTube stream. It'll be a private link. It should work the same. I'm going to do a little bit of last-minute testing on it today, but it should work the same where it'll just be me in here in this box, and you will see all of the chaos that is going on. So you will get kind of a behind-the-scenes look of the content being filmed. You'll hear the content being filmed because I'll have to be quiet while they're doing it. Different members of the staff will come in here and share their reactions to picks. You'll get my reactions to the picks live. Jamie might pipe in every once in a while, so that's what you can look forward to tonight. And then tomorrow, as I already mentioned, the TDN Daily show will be here. We'll do it live. I don't know what time yet. We'll have to see. But we will do a full round one recap, and I will preview round 2 and 3. Brayden says, had to reference my take from yesterday's prospects and props. I'm an As fan, so that's why I hate the Kraken right now. Okay, that's fair. That makes a little bit more sense, Brayden. Get 2 Bears picks from Paige. Okay, I'm looking at her. She's over here to the right. One that would be a massive thumbs up, and one that would get a massive thumbs down. She's answering. Please hold, everybody. So the massive thumbs down would be Peter J. Skoronsky. That would get the thumbs down. At 9 specifically. So if they move back and get him, thumbs up. But right now at 9, thumbs down. Thumbs up we're looking for. JSN. Bijan Robinson. Jalen Carter falls. Will Anderson falls. We're getting thumbs up. Bryce Young falls. No, we got a thumbs down on that. Never mind. No, we got a thumbs down on that. Punk says Robinson to the Falcons call it. TF has taken Pitt's unicorn and then London top wide receiver. Punk, I'm with you, man. I got Bijan going there as well. Christian Gonzalez, somebody wants to know about? We got a thumbs up on Christian Gonzalez, Sportsnut, so that's another good one. Yeah, Punk, again, predictively, I think that's what Atlanta's going to do, and they're going to go Bijan. So I'm in. He's the betting favorite to go number 8 overall to the Falcons. What that means at this point is, up for interpretation. But him being the favorite at this point from a betting odds market is something to at least keep an eye on. But yeah, predictively, I have the same thing. And then also prospects and props, which when Jamie comes back, we're going to record that here in just a little bit. And that will be a full breakdown of my pick by pick for the predictive mock, and I'm going to try to turn that around as quickly as possible. There'll be no video for that one because we're recording it right after this, so the audio version will go out instantly. Update, we're 2 over through 8. The vibes are already immaculate today. I mean, we were just even par a couple holes ago, Braden. That's not great. I don't know what we've done here. Sam says, is that the general betting market or the Reddit betting market? It's a great question, Sam. I think that's the general betting market is what I'm referencing there. Cars in Paris still thumbs up. No, I would give that a thumbs down. I think 3 would be a little rich for that if they were to do that. But they could trade back if they're able to find a trade partner and then pick him a little bit later, and then they would get a thumbs up from me. But I think a 3, that's a little rich. So. All right, I'll make this the last call for any questions. Again, a ton of content coming later today. It's not like I'm not going to be anywhere. Can I get a quick roll call? Who's going to be hanging out a little bit later on tonight for the premium stream, the premium watch along? Can I get a quick roll call of who's going to be there and hanging out and joining us here as part of the premium watch along for the NFL draft tonight? And while I'm getting the roll call, Eugene says, "What's Chase Young's trade value?" If Ryan Fowler was in the room right now, I'd ask him what he thought. I would ask him a lot of what he thought. or Cards back to Titans. Al says I've got the Titans trading back, Cards back to Titans, and Cards getting Paris. Braden says we're starting at 7:30 Eastern tonight. I'll be there. Yeah, that seems like a good time. That seems like a good time to start. I hadn't really planned that far ahead. I was just going to push the button when I was ready. But yeah, sure, we'll go live about a half hour beforehand. Sam Teets says I will be recording content during that time too, but I will jumping in and out. Okay, we can't wait to see you, Sam. Bryce Young will be a top blank quarterback in the NFC this year. Bryce Young will be a top blank quarterback in the NFC this year. Bryce Young will be a top 8 quarterback in the NFC this year. Top 8 quarterback in the NFC this year. Sports Zone is what I will say. Not giving it a whole lot of thought whatsoever. That was very just off the cuff, doing the quick math in my head. But top 8 feels about right. Because it's top half. Yeah, that I'm good with that. Reserved an apartment complex party room to host a first-round watch party. Let's go, Trevor. It's okay that you cannot follow the TDN watch along. Just enjoy. Eugene says just read the mock kind of spicy. Yeah, I mean, I had a little spice in there. Sometimes you got to add the spice in order to get this right and to do well. This is the first one I've ever done. So I've never done a mock draft for the site. I've never done a predictive mock for the Huddle Report. I've never done this, right? So this is the first year that we've decided to wade into these waters, and I figure we'll make it a little spicy along the way. So I like some of the picks. I think I got players in there that make some sense. Heldy says watching the first round from a cabin. Well, Heldy, I hope you were a part of the watch along tonight while we consume some drinks and we watch the draft. So that'll be a little bit later. So appreciate everybody being here. Again, tonight's 7:30 Eastern time is when I'm hoping to push the button to start the TDN Premium Watch Along, and I'll drop that link in the Premium Discord for everybody to come and hang out with us over there as well. So that's kind of the plan for later tonight. Again, prospects and props with the full breakdown of my mock coming a little bit later as well. But appreciate everybody being here. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of the day, the hype, the anticipation, the buzz as we get closer and closer to draft night. If you can't join us later tonight, tomorrow live show, we're going to be breaking down the first round. You'll get my reactions that you didn't get during the live show there as well. So looking forward to it. Going to have a great time. I hope everybody enjoys the draft, and I will talk to everybody later.